Have you ever felt watched, even when you were completely alone? That cold, creeping sensation gnaws at the back of your mind, making the hairs on your neck rise, even in the safety of your own home. Tonight, I'm going to share stories that happened, not just to me, but to ordinary people, just like you. People who sent in their experiences, hoping someone would believe them. And now, I'm going to tell them to you. It's November. The nights are long, the wind slices through your clothes like icy knives, and rain drips relentlessly from the skeletal branches of the trees. It's the kind of night where shadows move a little too fast, doors creak without a breeze, and the silence feels heavy. That's when things happen you can't explain. Watch till the end, because the final story, the last one I'll share, will make you question every photograph you've ever taken. It's about a family photo, one that wasn't supposed to have an extra person in it, and yet, somehow, it did. As you listen, remember, these are all real stories, submitted by people who have lived through them. Some began as minor disturbances, whispers, footsteps, shadows lingering too long, but each escalated, slowly, inexorably, into something far worse. So, settle in, turn off the lights, and tell me, have you ever felt something like this? Tonight, the stories are coming for you. It was the first week of November, and the chill had already begun creeping through the air. I had taken a short drive to visit my cousin, who lived just outside town. The forest roads were narrow, lined with skeletal trees that swayed in the wind like slow-moving shadows. A thick fog had rolled in, hanging low over the asphalt and swallowing the dim glow of the streetlights. At first, it was peaceful, almost serene. That quiet made me feel like I was the only person left in the world. I remember laughing softly to myself, thinking how dramatic the fog looked, how it blurred the world into something out of a painting. But then, I heard it, footsteps, faint at first, like someone walking softly over fallen leaves behind me. I told myself it must be another traveler or maybe a hiker lost in the woods. But the sound matched my heartbeat, perfectly in rhythm, almost mocking me. I slowed the car, straining through the fog. Shadows stretched across the road, twisting unnaturally with the swaying branches. And then I saw it, a figure, pale and unmoving, standing between two trees. I blinked, and it vanished. Only the echo of footsteps remained, now closer, circling the car. Whispers followed, low and indistinct, growing sharper and more insistent with every passing second. I wanted to leave, but some part of me compelled me forward. My cousin's house was close, only a few bends away. Then the figure stepped onto the road, blocking my path. Its silhouette was tall, featureless, like black smoke given form. The fog swirled around it unnaturally, as if it didn't belong to this world. I slammed the brakes. My headlights cut through the mist, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw a face, twisted, pale, staring directly at me. Then, nothing. Silence. But the feeling remained, heavy and watching, like the fog itself was alive. When I finally reached my cousin's driveway, heart hammering, hands trembling, I ran inside and slammed the door. The next morning, my cousin told me something that froze me. No one had walked that road that night. Not a single soul. Even now, when the fog rolls in, I can still hear the soft, deliberate crunch of footsteps, circling, waiting. Would you have stayed or run? It was one of those late November nights when the wind howled through the cracks in your windows, and the old house groaned like it's alive. I was curled up on the couch, scrolling aimlessly on my phone, wrapped in a blanket, trying to ignore the oppressive silence. Then it rang, sharp, sudden, and shrill, cutting through the quiet like a knife. I froze. The caller ID showed my mother's number, but that was impossible. She passed away almost 3 years ago. My chest tightened, and my pulse spiked. I stared at the screen, frozen between curiosity and terror. Finally, my fingers shook as I swiped to answer. A distorted, shaky voice came through. At first, muffled, like someone speaking underwater. Then, it cleared just enough for me to recognize it. It was her, or at least it sounded like her, but something was off. Hollow, stretched, like her voice had been pulled too tight. "Why, are you alone?" she whispered. I laughed nervously, telling myself it was a prank or a glitch. But then the voice came again. "I can see you." My blood ran cold. I glanced around the dimly lit living room. Everything was normal. My cat curled on the sofa, the clock ticking steadily, the heater humming. Yet the whispers persisted, closer now, echoing as if coming from every corner of the house. I tried to hang up. The phone wouldn't respond. The voice continued, a stream of broken, urgent phrases. "Don't turn around. I'm inside." I froze. Shadows stretched unnaturally along the walls. And then, from the corner of my eye, I saw it. A shadow sliding silently past the doorway. My heart hammered as reality hit me. The call wasn't coming from outside. It was here, inside the house. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor with a thud, but the voice didn't stop. It was everywhere and nowhere at once. Then, in a single chilling moment, the distorted tone straightened. Soft, sad, hauntingly familiar. "I never left you." I ran from the living room, stumbling over the rug, and when I came back with the lights on, the phone lay silent. No missed calls, no history. My mother's number had vanished, leaving only emptiness where it had always been. I haven't answered the phone late at night since, but sometimes, when the wind rattles the windows and November wraps the world in darkness, I hear it, soft, distorted, calling my name from inside the house. Would you have answered, or dropped it immediately? It was a bitter November night, the kind that seeps into your bones and makes the walls of your house feel as if they're closing in. I was home alone. The wind lashed against the windows, rattling them violently, while the rain hammered the roof in relentless sheets. The streetlights outside flickered and then died, leaving the world beyond the walls a black, pulsating void, broken only by the occasional flash of lightning. I was curled up on the sofa, trying to focus on a book, but the storm made it impossible. That's when I heard it, a knock at the front door, slow, deliberate, patient, not random, not hurried, just measured. I froze, my heart thudded in my chest, the kind of knock that doesn't belong in this world. I told myself it was the storm, maybe a branch tapping against the door. But then it came again, echoing across the empty hallways, slow, deliberate, rhythmic. I went to the window, peering through the blinds. There it was, a shadowy figure, impossibly still, standing just beyond the porch. I couldn't make out its face, only a dark outline, staring at me. My stomach churned. My instincts screamed to call for help, but my hands trembled too violently to pick up the phone. Then it moved, not toward the door, but along the edge of the porch, toward the side yard. Its shadow stretched unnaturally long in the faint moonlight. A sick realization dawned on me. It wasn't trying to get in. It was trying to lead me out. Every instinct told me to lock the doors, pull the curtains, stay inside. But some reckless part of me edged closer, curiosity battling terror. A flash of lightning illuminated its face, twisted, pale, and grinning in a way no human should. I stumbled back and grabbed my phone to dial 911, and the knocking stopped. Just like that. The figure vanished into the storm. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak, every gust of wind made me flinch. And in the quiet hours, when the rain had softened and the storm had moved on, I could still hear it, the slow, measured rhythm of footsteps along the porch. Waiting outside in the dark. Would you have opened the door if you heard that? I worked the night shift at a small, nearly empty warehouse on the outskirts of town. November nights are the worst, long, dark, and silent, except for the occasional hum of fluorescent lights and the distant rumble of trucks on the highway. There's something about the quiet that makes every little noise feel amplified, like it's creeping closer, watching. It started a few nights ago. I was reviewing the security camera feeds, a habit I'd picked up to stay awake, when I noticed something strange. In the corner of the screen, a figure appeared. At first just a shadow, barely noticeable, always in places where no one should be. What was unnerving was how it moved only when I wasn't looking directly at it. Every time I switched to that camera, it froze in place like a painting. The moment I looked away, it would creep closer, inch by inch, careful and deliberate. I tried to rationalize it. Old wiring. Shadows. My imagination is running wild after too many long nights. But then, the whispers began. Faint. Almost imperceptible. I thought it was static, from the monitors, at first. Then I realized it was repeating my name, softly, pleading. Hours passed as I stared at the feeds, eyes burning, hands clammy. Every camera revealed something different. A shadow in the break room, a silhouette in the storage aisle, always just out of focus. It was intelligent. It knew I was watching. Every time I tried to confront it, it vanished, melting into the darkness. I started sleeping poorly. In my dreams, the warehouse appeared again, silent but alive. I could feel its eyes on me, even as I slept. One night, I decided to stay late and investigate in person. I walked slowly through the rows of shelves. Flashlight trembling in my hands, heart pounding. No one was there, nothing. Yet the weight of unseen eyes pressed down on me, calculating, waiting. Since that night, even at home, I see it in my dreams. Standing just out of reach, unmoving when I look, creeping closer when I close my eyes. The silence of the night is no longer comforting. It is alive, patient, and merciless. Some nights, I hear it calling my name from the warehouse. I know I shouldn't go back, but a part of me, the part that is curious, the part that refuses to let go, keeps watching, keeps wondering when it will finally step out of the shadows. Would you confront it if you saw something moving only when you weren't looking? Or would you pretend it didn't exist, like I wish I could? It started 2 weeks after my childhood friend, Mark, went missing. The police had closed the case, calling it a runaway situation, but I knew better. Something about the way he vanished felt wrong, silent, like he had just evaporated into thin air. Then the texts began. At first, I thought it was a cruel joke. My phone buzzed late at night, and there it was, a message from Mark's old number. My heart froze. The text read, "Hey, you won't believe where I am." I typed back, hands trembling, "Mark, is that really you?" The reply came almost immediately. "Do you trust me?" I should have thrown the phone out the window. I should have deleted the number, but I didn't. And the messages kept coming, each one more unsettling than the last. Mark mentioned streets I'd never walked, buildings I'd never seen, and events that hadn't happened. Yet, he knew them. Knew me. Every fear, every memory, every secret I had tried to bury. One night, while scrolling through the messages, I realized something horrifying. They weren't random. They were describing my movements. "You just walked past the corner store," one message read. "Why are you so scared?" Another followed. I dropped the phone, hands shaking, the hairs on my arms standing on end. My apartment was silent, but the presence behind me felt palpable, suffocating. The texts escalated. "I'm closer now. Did you hear that? Don't look behind you." My pulse raced, yet I couldn't stop reading. I needed to know. And then it came. The last message. 3 words that turned my blood to ice. "I'm right behind you." I spun around. My apartment was empty. Every shadow seemed alive, every corner a hiding place. My breath hitched. The room felt colder, heavier, almost suffocating. My eyes darted to the doorway, the window, the darkened hall. Nowhere, and yet everywhere. I ran to the window, peering into the November darkness outside. Nothing. Only flickering streetlights and the occasional scuttle of leaves in the wind. But the feeling didn't leave. It lingered, a weight pressing against my chest, a presence too intelligent to be ignored. Even now, late at night, I sometimes hear my phone buzz. I don't look, but I know what the message would say, and I know it would be true. Would you have dared to check, or turned and run, never looking back? It was one of those gray November afternoons where the sun barely rises and the fog hangs low, shrouding everything in a pale, ghostly light. I had been exploring old buildings in town for years, drawn to the forgotten and abandoned. But that day, curiosity led me to a place I probably shouldn't have gone, the old Hawthorne factory on the edge of the woods. No one had set foot there in decades. At least, that's what I thought. The moment I stepped inside, a chill ran down my spine. Dust hung thick in the air, drifting in shafts of light that squeezed through broken windows. The walls were covered in strange drawings and symbols, jagged shapes that made no sense. Some resembled letters, others twisted faces contorted in pain. As I walked further, I swore I could hear whispers echoing through the halls. Faint, unintelligible murmurs, like 100 people speaking just out of reach. I tried to convince myself it was the wind or my imagination, but the feeling of being watched was relentless. Every step I took seemed to reverberate unnaturally. Yet I wasn't alone. Shadows shifted, clinging to corners, stretching in ways the light shouldn't allow. Then it happened. I turned a corner into what I thought was an empty storage room and froze. A door had appeared behind me that hadn't been there before. Slowly, almost unwillingly, I pushed it open. Inside was a small room, nearly empty, except for an old tape recorder lying on the floor. My hands trembled as I pressed play. The voice that came through made my blood run cold. It was me, my own voice, recounting things I hadn't thought about in years. Secrets, fears, moments I had never spoken aloud. The date on the tape read 2008. I was horrified. How could this be? How could a recording of myself exist here, in a building I hadn't even explored until now? I dropped the tape, stepping back, heart hammering. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, surrounding me. The shadows in the corners stretched toward me, almost alive, their movements fluid and unnatural. I could feel them breathing, watching, waiting. I ran. I stumbled through the fog outside, tripping over roots and debris, my mind spinning. I didn't look back, but I could still feel eyes on me, tracking every movement, lingering in the darkness, even as I reached the safety of the streetlights. Weeks later, I still can't shake it. Sometimes, when I'm home alone, I swear I hear the tape playing softly, somewhere nearby. My own voice, recounting things I haven't spoken aloud in over a decade. And deep down, I know the building isn't done with me yet. Would you have dared to step into a room that appeared out of nowhere? Or would you have run, never looking back? It was late November when I found the photograph. I had been cleaning out my grandmother's attic, digging through old boxes, forgotten letters, and memories that smelled of dust and decay. That's when I stumbled across it, a faded family photo, tucked between yellowed newspapers and brittle cardboard. The edges were curling, the image slightly blurred, but I could still make out the faces, my family, smiling during some long-forgotten holiday. At first, it seemed normal. My grandmother, gentle and smiling. My parents laughed, my siblings bundled in winter coats, their eyes bright with happiness. I leaned closer, brushing off the dust, when I saw it. Someone else was in the photo, a figure I didn't recognize, standing awkwardly at the edge of the group. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, or maybe my memory was failing me, but the smile, it was too wide. stretched unnaturally across a blurry face. The head was tilted at an odd angle, like it had been forced into position. Something about it felt wrong, fundamentally off. I tried to push it out of my mind, but over the next few days, I began noticing the figure everywhere, in reflections. In the bathroom mirror, just as I flicked on the light, a shadow out of the corner of my eye. In hallways, where I could swear a long, dark shape stretched across the floor. Every time I looked again, nothing was there, but the feeling of being watched never left. And then the photo began to change. At first, subtle movements. The figure inched closer to the front of the group. Its smile widened, the blurry face sharpening into something more defined, more sinister. I tried to ignore it, tossing the photo face down on the table. But at night, I could hear soft, deliberate footsteps outside my bedroom door. Slow, polite, and the faintest whisper of breathing. I stopped leaving the lights off. I locked every door. Yet it didn't matter. I felt it everywhere, standing just beyond the doorway, lingering in corners, creeping into reflections. The worst night came last Tuesday. I was alone, scrolling through old photos on my phone, trying to convince myself it was just a hallucination, a trick of memory. On impulse, I took a selfie. Just to capture the moment, to reassure myself. I smiled at the camera, forcing normalcy. That's when I saw it. Behind me, inches from my shoulder, the figure from the family photo. Its smile stretched impossibly wide, head tilted at the same unnatural angle. The blurry, indistinct face had sharpened into something human and monstrous. Its eyes were black, like shards of glass, reflecting everything but revealing nothing. I dropped my phone. It didn't shatter. The screen remained on, recording. The figure was closer now, its presence so cold it seemed to suck the warmth from the room. I tried to scream. No sound came. Its shadow stretched across the floor like liquid, gliding toward me with impossible fluidity. I ran, stumbling down the stairs, hands clawing at walls, every step echoing with soft, deliberate footsteps behind me. When I reached the living room, the front door stood wide open. A chill wind blew in, carrying the faint scent of wet leaves and decay. I grabbed my phone, ready to leave, and that's when I noticed the photograph on the table. The figure had moved even closer, now stepping out of the frame. Then I realized the most terrifying truth. It had followed me from the photo, into my reality. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it's still behind me, watching from shadows, waiting in reflections. All I know is this. Every mirror I pass, every photo I take, every dark corner in my house, I see it closer, smiling, tilting its head, breathing in the darkness. Tonight, as I write this, I feel it behind me. I hear the softest of footsteps, a shadow stretching across my shoulder. My hands are cold, my breath catches, and I know with every fiber of my being, it is no longer in the photo. It is real, and it is here. Thank you for staying with me through these 7 terrifying November stories. I hope you felt the chill creeping along your spine, the unease that lingers long after the shadows fall, and the creeping dread of knowing that sometimes the things that watch you aren't just in your imagination. Now I want to hear from you. Which story scared you the most? Was it the footsteps circling in the fog, the distorted voice on the phone, the figure outside the door, or the family photo that added someone who shouldn't have been there? Have you ever seen something in a photograph that wasn't supposed to be there? Something you didn't notice at first, but later made your blood run cold? Share your story. Send it in, and it could be featured in one of these videos. And if you want more real horror stories, true accounts that haunt the nights and make you question every shadow, make sure to subscribe. Because the next story could be closer than you think, before something else finds you first. Remember, shadows move when you're not looking, whispers linger in the quiet, and sometimes the figures in photographs don't stay in the past. Stay alert tonight. You never know who or what is standing just behind you.